Good afternoon, and welcome to the January 11th meeting of the Energy and Environmental Conservation Committee. I'm Cynette Cavaliere, the chair, and we'll just real quickly go from this direction to that direction and introduce our committee members.
Roy Green, committee member.
Pat Schichler, committee member.
Daniel Moore, committee member.
We'll do these two over here.
Sarah Waterman, sustainability engineer.
Matt Prenzing, junior planner.
Okay, and also in the room we have a couple of guest speakers, but we'll go ahead and wait for your introductions, which is actually going to be one agenda item first and then you guys. So we have a very nice full agenda. Welcome back. Happy 2024. The first thing that we want to do is review and approve the minutes from our December 14th meeting. As noted, as they have been sent out, does anybody have any corrections or additions to them?
I don't.
Okay. Can I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
So that's all of us. I heard all the voices, so no opposed. Okay. As you may notice, so there is only 4 of us here. We are still down 1 member, so we'll be talking about that opportunity later on in our agenda. So that said, we're going to move into our guest presentation, and have been excited to have Rachel Scudder here from Climate Smart Communities. She's the planner. Do you have more of an introduction, Sarah, or?
Sure. So we invited Rachel and Rob to do a presentation on climate smart communities at this meeting. The town has already been moving forward with clean energy communities, which is kind of like a sister program in NYSERDA. And we've been considering moving forward with some climate smart community items, but wanted to bring Rachel specifically in to do a presentation before the town moved forward with any of those.
So I think we're ready for you, if you're ready.
All right, well, thank you all for having me. I'm also joined here by Rob Richardson, who is the Clean Energy Communities Coordinator. And as Sarah sort of alluded to, our programs are tied together pretty strongly. So I asked him to come here and help answer any questions, as they pertain to clean energy communities. But he also helped the city of Canandaigua through the Climate Smart Communities program in 2019, was it? So he has a wealth of knowledge in the Climate Smart Communities program as well. So just a little bit about myself. I've been working at the Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council since July of last year in the Climate Smart Communities Coordinator role. In addition to that, I work on a slew of things, including broadband, solid waste management, planning, and most currently the EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, where we're writing a regional climate action plan. And I'll let Rob give a brief introduction as well.
Rob Richardson, I'm the Climate Smart Communities, or Clean Energy Communities Coordinator for this region. I've been with Genesee Finger Lakes for about 3 years now, and absolutely love working with Rachel. I love working on these programs, and I think they bring a lot of benefits to the communities who engage them. So excited to be here to support Rachel while she shares them.
Yeah, just pull it closer.
I was just saying that I'm excited to be here to support Rachel while she shares the program that she facilitates. And as she alluded to, when I was the assistant city manager in Canandaigua, I was the Climate Smart Communities Coordinator for our city. So I understand both the programmatic and the participant side and can answer any questions that you might have.
So just a little bit about the program. It was started in 2009. It's mostly headed by the DEC, but is a interagency initiative, so it also works with NYSERDA and DOS and the Department of Transportation as well. Until 2018, the program you had to submit a physical application. In 2018, they created a a portal, an online portal, so that municipalities could submit their documentation more easily. And since then, the program has become more successful. It also is a place where you can communicate with the reviewers of the documentation. So if you submit an application and one of your actions is not accepted, they'll give you exact reasonings why and what you need to do to fix it. And in 2022, so last year when I came on, they introduced my position to help build capacity for municipalities to be successful in this program. So as a regional coordinator, I help with the registration and certification process. The registration process is basically, signing the pledge and the town saying that they want to be a part of the Climate Smart Communities program. And the certification process is basically building evidence to support the different actions within the program to submit for a bronze or silver certification. I also can help with greenhouse gas inventories, preparing adaptation, mitigation, and climate action plans. I'm currently working on 2 climate action plans right now, one with the town of Pittsford and one with the town of Lodi, which is in Seneca County. I can help with any on-site training and hosting workshops, as well as presenting to boards and community members. And another important thing is helping to connect municipalities with other climate change programs and grant opportunities, and supporting any project implementation that they might want to do. So the first thing that you'll do is you'll register in the program, and then you kind of become a dot on the board or a dot on the map for the DEC. So they know that you're engaged on some level in the program. And the second step is a bronze certification, which has 2 mandatory actions, 3 priority actions, and a total of 120 points that you need to work towards. The silver certification is basically about twice that, and we don't have any silver certified communities currently in our region, although we have a couple that are working towards it. So as I said, when you're registering as a Climate Smart Communities, the board will take a pledge as a formal resolution saying that you're becoming a part of the Climate Smart Communities program. You build a registration profile for your community. You build a task force. You upload the resolution, and then you can start the certification process. And typically before that, I'll meet with communities and see where they're at before that, just so that most of the time when I'm talking to communities, and I'm sure Penfield is in the same boat, they've done enough points where all they have to do is back up with evidence that they've completed all of these things, and I'll go through some of the actions that are pretty typical for a community to have engaged in. So there are different grants that consider the Climate Smart Communities program. There's obviously the Climate Smart Communities grant, the Zero Emissions Vehicle Infrastructure program, the Smart Growth Community Planning and Zoning Grant program, and the DEC Water Quality Improvement Project. And so when you register in the program, you are already basically saying that you're engaged in this process, and that gives you points already, even if you don't move towards bronze certification.
So I have a question.
Yep.
So you keep mentioning points. What are these points and how do they work? So if you're a climate smart community, you get additional points for being part of that, correct? For these grant applications, but what do those points actually mean?
So there's 2 different points that I was talking about. So there's points within the application, and those are based off of the different actions, and I'll go through a few of those during this presentation. And then there's points towards a grant application, which will basically, it's just part of the scoring rubric for, different grant opportunities.
Essentially, if your community applies to one of these grant opportunities and you're participating in this program, you will get extra points towards your application as a bonus for being part of the program. So it's an additional buffer that strengthens your application and increases your chances of having that grant awarded.
Okay, so if the scoring criteria was out of 100 and you're in this program, you could be 108 points, for example.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Some of the grants from the Climate Smart Communities grant program have funded greenhouse gas inventories, climate action plans, fleet inventories. I won't read through all of them, but you can also do a comprehensive plan and some planning for walking and biking, which is always, something that communities are looking to do.
Are we getting a copy of this presentation?
Yeah, I can send
Okay,
that.
that'll be helpful, I think.
And then this is just another list of the different projects that were funded from 2019 to 2022, and just the different grant amounts. So they range from $14,000 to $2 million. There is a 50% match for municipalities. And they would need to be a partner in order to apply. And it's typically been in past years a very unsubscribed grant process. So basically, if you are looking for different grant opportunities, this might be a good avenue to go down. And most recently, you can use this grant to acquire land. So like I said, there are two mandatory actions. One is to form your task force, which is, it can be built right into, especially for the town of Penfield, it would be, you could turn your Conservation Advisory Board into your Climate Smart Task Force. All you would have to do is, I have a resolution template, basically saying that your task force is the equivalent to the Conservation Advisory Board, and then you would just list everybody's name and their positions. And that's 20 points out of that 120 points. And then assigning a coordinator.
Which Penfield has already done.
Yep. Oh, okay. Oops. Another thing is if you're working in the Clean Energy Communities program, that's an additional 3 points. And if you have any partnerships with the DEC or your watershed.
Penfield, I think the Stormwater Coalition would apply.
Yeah, definitely. If the town has done a greenhouse gas inventory or a climate action plan already, those are pretty heavy. Those come with a lot of points up to, I think it's between 16 and 20. If you've done any energy audits, if you've updated any of your indoor lighting to LEDs, any HVAC or water efficiency updates. I did see on your agenda that you are doing a fleet inventory, which is a Clean Energy Communities action item. Now it is, but that would count directly towards this program as well. Any electric vehicles, if you've done any code enforcement training through CEC, anything like that. If you've installed any heat pumps, done any solar energy installations or wind energy installations, or done any feasibility studies.
What's the time frame, look back for these projects?
They're all different. So
Is that on your spreadsheet, do you know, that you shared with me?
It's within the portal itself.
Okay, I can find that.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
when you click on the action, when you click on what to submit, it will tell you the look back for it.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I believe like a comprehensive plan is something like 15 years, while as the energy audit will be I believe it's like 7 years or something like that.
Okay.
It's all different, yeah.
That's helpful
So
information.
can you get credit for things? So if we did stuff under the clean energy community, you can get credit under the climate smart?
Yeah, so every single action item that you've done in clean energies will count directly towards climate smart. And it's as easy as taking a screenshot of the clean energy communities map and drop-down menu that just shows what you've done. And basically, I'll normally just do that for communities because it is just an easy way to just show, get you in. And yeah, it just is a quick upload. And which is why Rob and I work so closely, is because when things get done with communities that I'm working with in the Clean Energies program, I'll just take all of the hard work that he's done and use it for myself. If you have a yard waste or any sort of compost program, which most municipalities do, if you've done any waste reduction education campaigns, even if you've partnered with like the library, or, this committee has done something in partnership with another green group, as long as the town has made some sort of significant contribution, you'll get credit for that as well. If you have a complete streets policy, installed any charging stations, done an active transportation plan or comprehensive plan updates, any sort of zoning that protects open space. I believe that look back is about 15 years, which can be a little bit hard because a lot of towns did conservation of open space in the 80s and 90s. So, but there are some towns who are still, buying land for the purpose of open space and conservation.
Would zoning code work towards that as well? So if the town reevaluates and reforms zoning code that protects certain lands?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's two different ones. There's zoning for the protection of open land, and then there's actually buying the land. Yeah, so there's two different ways that you can do it.
And both of those things are items that the town's been considering.
Yep. Doing any sort of vulnerability assessment, replacing or upgrading your culverts and dams, any sort of flood mitigation efforts that the town has made, which most towns have done some sort of upgrade. These are all things that count. If you've done any within on-town property, any green infrastructure projects, which includes mostly it's stormwater management. These are all different actions that count towards the program. There's over 110 actions in this program, so I haven't listed all of them, but I've listed a good chunk. And there's just a lot of places for entry to participate in this program. If the town hosts a farmer's market or has done any brownfield cleanup or redevelopment, done a community campaign with clean energy communities.
I've done 2.
Okay, so yeah, so you all would get points for that as well. There are also a lot of places that are pretty easy to get in if you just add a section of your website that is promoting the Climate Smart Task Force, which if you already have something for the Conservation Advisory Board, that's where you could plug in that information as well. And if you start a Facebook page, some towns don't really want to do that, but it is another easy way just to promote the different things that you're doing as well as get points in the program. And then there's if you just do an annual report. I have templates for most of these things, so all you'd have to do is every year just evaluate what you've done and where you're going, and move on from there. And like I said, those are just a few things, but I'm sure, some light bulbs kind of went off in your head for the different actions that I listed, and the different things that the town has already engaged in. So when you get started, the first question that you answer, and it sounds like you've already answered this, is who will lead this effort? And like I said, it could be this board right here, as well as, with the help of Sarah. You take the Climate Smart Pledge, you create a profile, and then you establish the task force. You inventory existing efforts, which I am more than happy to help with. Collect and upload documents. I can help you review your application and then submit the certification. Sometimes what I do is I'll meet with communities about once a month, depending on their timeline of when they want to submit for certification. And, we essentially just workshop different actions, and we just go through what's been done. And it can be a little bit tedious at times, but it's a good way to just, bookmark where you are and where you're going, especially with such a big program with so many actions. I think some communities, just need you're doing okay. Like, everything's fine. We're moving slowly towards this, and that's okay. We've had communities turn things over in, a few months, and then we've had communities work on things for, over a year. So there's 4 different application deadlines, and you can always submit the next year too if you don't.
Are the application deadlines quarterly?
Yes, yeah. Yep. All right.
What
and
do you
that's-
mean by an application deadline?
It's just when the DEC will start reviewing the application, so it's when you have the mandatory items completed, I think you need 6 priority actions, and then 120 points overall. Once you've gotten to that point, your application, which is online, will turn blue and you can click on it and submit. Yep. And that's basically all I have. If anyone has any questions, let me know. I did give you all my card in case you think of something later. I know it is a lot, so just let me know.
If I could add one thing, with the progress that the town has made in the CEC program, they have an exceptionally strong foundation to start exploring the CSC program, especially because of the fact that everything translates over perfectly. The other thing that needs to be said to it is the town of Penfield has long established itself as kind of an environmental leader, not just in Monroe County, but in our region. It was the first community to put in charging stations. It was the first community to really start to have strong citizen engagement in what was happening. So this is something that the town has kind of considered in the past and explored and dipped their toe into. I can pretty comfortably say that based on previous evaluations that we've done, the town would not only be well into the bronze certification, it could be very close to silver with the work that it's done and the things that you're just doing in terms of day-to-day operations. So I've had the opportunity to work really closely with Sarah and see some of the things that she's done, which have been fantastic. I can also tell you that the points earned by getting the certification would push the town into a 3-star certification in CEC and earn it a match-free $50,000 grant. Mm-hmm. So if there was even more incentive to think about participating, by earning the certification, you would also qualify for additional match-free money.
With that, I'd like to acknowledge 2 things. And because Rob is here, I'm mentioning this. With all of the actions that Penfield has taken with clean energy communities, Rob has been a key player in. Every application that I've submitted, Rob has had a hand in, and it's not just staff working on that, it is Rob helping us through the process. Mm-hmm. So he's been very valuable to the town. Secondly, a question. How many points is this worth for CEC?
800.
Okay. So with that puts us actually, because of the documents that we're currently getting for the CCA program, that will put us well above the 2-star rating for the clean energy communities and much closer to the 5-star, no,
Yeah,
the 4-star rating, which would lead us to a potential opportunity for another much larger grant. So that is something that should be considered in this, too.
Okay. Yeah, we know that we did the clean energy one just because the grant availability had a much lower threshold and aligned better with things that we were already doing. So it's kind of good to hear that it's dovetailing, I think, a little better than it was maybe in the beginning even, so.
And I think that to Rachel's point about it being a cross-agency effort, there's been a really concerted effort by both NYSERDA and the DEC to make sure that these programs line up so that, as communities are moving forward in one, they're moving forward in both and able to maximize participation in both.
Like, for example, the new Clean Energies action, the fleet inventory, was taken directly from the Climate Smart Communities action. So we had some communities that had already done the fleet inventory in the Climate Smart program, and all we had to do was just put it into a new format and just submit it on their behalf, and they got grant money for that.
So you did comment that the grants from the CSC are very undersubscribed. So what is the roadblock?
I just think people don't, and Rob might be able to speak better to this, but I just think people don't really know about it. Yeah, I think that in the past couple of years, and maybe that's why they started funding a position like, mine, is to promote it a little bit more, because up until 2022, it was just a part of the Clean Energy Communities program. It was its own program, but, Rob had 9 other high-impact actions that he had to deal with, so, he can't be just promoting the Climate Smart Communities grant.
And I think the coordinator position addition was huge, but I also think for some communities, in particular smaller communities, the 50% match can be a roadblock. With our New York State tax cap, we know that in some cases with a small tax levy, a match for 50% of a grant could push them over that limit and get them into trouble with the comptroller. So I do think that 50% match is a little bit of a barrier sometimes. But to Rachel's point, I also think not a lot of communities know about this program, and now that is starting to pick up. So I don't think it would be undersubscribed for all that much longer.
I wonder if they don't realize that some actions that they've taken in previous years, depending on, how recently you've done, would qualify. Like, I'm thinking as far as buying land, would our purchase of the golf course qualify?
I do not currently know, but it's something that we can look into.
Is it Shadow Pines?
Shadow Pines.
So you made into the disc golf course?
Pardon?
It's more than just that, but yes.
Yeah, that would absolutely count.
So, I mean,
more.
No, it's
depending
okay.
on
It's
how many,
okay.
yeah, depending
little
on
part
how
is
many
valuable to
years
different
back we did that and how many years back this lets us go with this submission.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that. And if the town board chooses to move forward with this program, then, we'll work hand in hand to figure out everything possible to get credit for.
Right.
But this committee, having members bring up items that we've done is very helpful.
Okay.
Just because your memory here is longer than mine.
So, Sarah, you mentioned, you nodded, yes, we have that, and I wasn't sure, like CSC coordinator, is that you?
That's technically under my position.
Okay, and how about an advisory board?
There has been discussion that this board would be that, but obviously that would be a decision for the town board to make.
Right, figured as much. Okay.
Yeah. And I will mention, pertaining to the grants that we were talking about, the town has applied for the ZEV infrastructure grant, and we were very close with points, and this would have put us over that we could have gotten it.
Electric vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're not technically a board.
We're a committee.
Can we still be the advisory for the committee?
That's my understanding.
Yep.
Because it doesn't need to be like a formal decision-making board. It's just kind of the naming in the town.
So when I was the coordinator for the city of Canandaigua, our task force was a citizen-led group that had led a composting initiative. in the city and was really successful and got 11% of households in the city to compost, which was amazing. We transitioned that group right over to the Climate Smart Task Force and added a couple members, and that was who we used as the core of our support group.
The biggest consideration for the town board, if they chose to have this committee also cover those items, is just capacity of workload.
Well, getting at least one more member, and we used to be, seven, so that they might, there had been some consideration when members were leaving and not being replaced before on the Conservation Committee was that, well, we don't have that many applications, so it wasn't warranted, work wasn't warranted, but, so there has been some history with more members.
That's good to know.
And there's also an opportunity if you did want to, expand beyond the Conservation Board, obviously, you could still be a part of that, but you could also expand to offer the opportunity to members of the public as well.
Well, and I will let you know, all of these committee members are residents for the town, so that's kind of how the town board appoints residents to be committee members to help give recommendations to the town board and other boards.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a great consideration for the town. I would expect, whether it's at this meeting or another meeting in the future, the committee members would consider if they want to make a recommendation to the town board to pursue this formally, similar to what we did a number of years ago for clean energy communities. And that would kind of be the next step pertaining to this item. But
So I think we'd like to get her presentation and have us look in at what are the different priority items.
And there's a lot of
things we
them.
might have done, and
There's a lot of items.
Yeah.
I think I heard there's one grant out there, $50,000, that didn't require a match,
So what?
My program.
Yeah, that's the Clean Energy
Oh,
Communities
okay.
Program, which we're already a part of.
Okay.
And I will absolutely give you a lot more information when we get to that agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, I
And if you-
zero in on the money.
And if you do go in front of the town board, prior to that, we can sit down with Sarah and maybe, you all as well over Zoom and just go through the different actions and basically pre-score what you have. And that is the strongest argument of all is, we've already done this. This is, all we have to do is provide evidence.
And Rachel, you and I have started to do that. We have a spreadsheet that has
Yeah, I can
items
see that,
started to be marked, which at this point, I think it's been maybe a year and a half. So it's a good time to update that.
So what would our recommendation to the board look like? Would it be in the form of a letter?
Yep. So it would be in the form of a letter, something along the lines of, Dear Town Supervisor and board members, we recommend that the town formally pursue clean energy communities for this, and this reason.
Probably some first steps too, because the first step
Yes.
is the pledge /
Yeah.
proclamation and.
These are ways to approach it.
Yeah.
Similar to most of our.
When we did this before, we got as far along as actually having a draft
Letter?
proposal,
draft resolution.
resolution.
Yep.
To go forward.
Which we
It
still
just-
have.
What happened with,
It was just timing of a lot of other things. I think it was the same point when Rob really kind of became active with us. There was a lot of other programs that we were proposing, and it just.
And we didn't
the
have
bang
a-
for the buck, in
we-
all honesty. It was kind of the diversion.
We also didn't have a staff member that could kind of champion it.
capacity of
So
personnel?
staff workload, as well as it was the consideration for EEAC if they wanted to pursue both programs or just one. And at that time, because Clean Energy Communities, by doing certain actions, it just gave us grant money, basically.
Sure.
And that's part of how we've gotten as many grants as we have. So the committee at the time chose to move forward with Clean Energy Communities. At that time, we were also pursuing the Community Choice Aggregation Program. And for committee members as well as staff, it drew us kind of thin.
Sure. And going through that checklist to see what we've actually already done or in the process of doing would be, good point at this time.
Yeah.
That'd be a great thing to include in the letter if we were to do
So-
something.
Yes.
Okay. So I think I'd like to at least propose that we have this as a agenda item for our next meeting.
Yeah.
We do have a lot going on, but I think it would make sense to at least continue this discussion then. Any other questions for Rachel or Rob? Okay, thank you very much for giving us the presentation and taking the time
Thank you.
out. Definitely appreciate it. Nice seeing you again.
See you.
Nice
Thanks for
meeting you.
having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Kevin, do you want to be introduced as being here?
Sure.
Okay. We get to welcome tonight Kevin Berry, who is our liaison from the town board. So welcome to your role on the town board and welcome to joining us as the liaison.
Thank you.
So. Okay, so then next is the standing report on the Monroe County Environmental Management Council. This was emailed out to you today. This is from the meeting on December 20th. And at that point in time, the meeting of that group had as a main presentation the review of the Monroe County Climate Action Plan, which fits very nicely in with what we just heard. They are very active in becoming a climate smart community, so this is one of the huge efforts that they've taken in place. I did include some notes on that plan itself, where they are in the development. The gist of it is 2 phases. The first phase is an internal look, and they have completed that phase. And so now they're really promoting the external look, which is working with a lot of the communities, local communities, to see what our efforts are per se, see how they can engage other organizations that are in there, the businesses, other community organizations, and that sort of thing to move this forward. There's been a lot of opportunity for public participation. So if you have not captured that is something that's going on in our region, they do have a website that's good. They actually had a very in-depth survey of here's the actions that we want to pursue as the community. How do you feel about these actions? Are these appropriate? This is what you would expect? So if you want to see any of that information, that is also on their website. So there is the one other open item there is just that there is a public meeting for that coming forth. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you watch out for that. The second area that I really wanted to highlight from that meeting is what they call privilege of the floor, and this is at the end. The different community members get to share concerns, issues, celebrations that are going on in the area. And I've listed a couple that happened from the last meeting from the village of Honeoye Falls that they have celebrated that they're now a climate smart community. And they actually talked about the idea that this was a grassroots effort by a group of high school students. So their high school
Saw that.
environmental club
Nice.
actually took that, so it was kind of an interesting tact. And then the other one was a discussion about tree plantings in different towns, which I have enjoyed, that their Gates told us about their policy of tree planting, and based on that, Chili has also extended. So they're talking a number of trees per acre of open space that they're working on trying to make sure is added in. So the question that I have is, as I listen to these, is which Penfield messages should I be sharing? So Sarah has already offered that if I give her a reminder of when the meetings are, that she'll make sure. So things like the idea that we're submitted our fleet inventory might be something worth mentioning to kind of encourage some of the other towns, some of the grants when we have gotten them. So some things that we have going on, that especially the grant that allowed us to plant trees in the Shadow Pines area would be something for us to share.
And that was a Clean Energy Communities grant.
So if
And
you
I-
also have anything that you think I should be sharing during the meeting, please let me know.
Eventually, when our tree policy ordinance is approved, but it's a little premature at this
Yep.
time.
Sure.
Yes. So I think we're going to get there. Okay, so now we are into the review of our required items.
Would you like me to take that? Matt
Yes,
and I?
go for it. Thank you.
So our first required item is town board development projects. The first one is Wellsbrook, which is the tree inventory that we, and specifically Matt, sent out this week. So we've been getting updates based on town comments, and this is the most up-to-date tree inventory. It also includes, it defines which trees are in the buffer or the disturbance area. And I think that was very helpful. What's highlighted on the tables are the 1s and 2s for ratings. And then I will also mention that the planning board offered for the developer and his engineer to attend this meeting so that they could hear the comments that the committee has as they make them. As a result of reviewing this project, we would look to have the committee put together an appendment to our previous memo to the planning board. And ideally, if we can work on that between now and our next meeting to have it approved at our next meeting, then we would be able to send it to the planning board at that time. Do you have any additions before I open it up to discussion?
No, I mean, we had sent out the comments from staff, but also from the EEC members that had comments, and that was sent out to you as well. So that was where we got also the revised tree inventory, but also had gotten some discussion and some mention of how the tree inventory was created, including the rating system and from the number system, and then also the commentary that was added to that too. But no, I don't have any additional comments if the committee wants to kind of discuss.
Okay, so I definitely will want to hear from Roy and Daniel because they've done some of this, but before we do that, I do want to thank the developer for the extra materials for the very deep dive tree inventory, and as well as being very responsive to comments so far.
Yeah, I've
So-
never had an inventory such as even designating, well, this one's buffer, this one's, would go. because
And we did
that's-
specifically ask for that just because as Matt and I were reviewing it, we were not always positive if a tree was in the buffer or not.
Good.
And because when it comes down to it, if and when this project would be approved, we would need to know which trees are staying and which trees are going.
Yeah, because that's always really hard to determine when we're reviewing. One thing I just have a question on, I know that the determination of the 1, 2, 3, or 4, they said that was developed by BME personnel, and I was just wondering the background of the personnel as far as rating, qualifications to rate a tree.
So my understanding is that it was personnel from their wetlands department, and that they have experience in reviewing plants and trees.
Okay.
Specifically, I think they responded in their last memo for what that qualification actually is.
Okay.
I don't believe that they responded with a definition for 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I haven't seen it.
But they did acknowledge that it was a rating system chosen by BME employees.
And it didn't define what the rating system came from. It's like an arbitrary rating system between 1 and 4, 1 being the very healthy and 4 being I don't know what. But you had some trees that were 2 that were listed as, healthy, and you had some trees that were 2 that were said dead branches, and just because a tree has a dead branch doesn't mean it's healthy or unhealthy. So it just seemed very arbitrary.
There was something on Bruce Zaretsky's comments and recommendations. He said not to use bare root in some of the, was it the buffer areas?
I think in their planting plan.
Right, but when I was looking at the EPOD, Matt, you suggested we
The
look
EPOD
at
code?
the woodlot EPODs, and that said something about when you're taking certain trees down in there to replace them with at least 2-inch caliper. Is that more than bare root?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that belie, so for Bruce to kind of imply that perhaps bare root was okay and other areas.
I don't think he implied that it was okay. I think he actually specifically in his comments said to replace bare root with a specific, I don't remember what size or type, but
Right, I don't remember
he
either.
said to replace bare root with something else.
Yeah, but he said that in a specific area, so I
think that's the only area that has that going in.
okay.
Yeah. And
I
for
guess
reference, the town generally doesn't have bare root plantings unless it's in like something to support a bank, basically. So I would expect that to get changed based on Bruce's comments. With that, just so you're aware, I don't believe Bruce's comments went to the developer yet, did they?
I don't believe so.
And that's just because we
Yeah.
got them this week, so
Right.
they will get those.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well,
But
I just
so
wanted
that's out
to
there.
make sure about that, because and maybe I misread that, because I wasn't looking that closely. Are there only trees being replaced or are they in other areas as well? Because he specifically noted at least, more than bare root in this area. So I'm looking at it thinking, well, then there's other areas
Sure.
that maybe bare root would be okay, and I don't think it is. Okay.
So he's recommending that container stock be specified for the stormwater management area. Generally, the only location in a project like this that bare root would be planted would be the stormwater area.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
why.
So other locations where trees are being planted,
So-
it's assumed they would be more than bare root?
Yeah, they were
On the plan,
described
it
as
it
more
states that.
than-
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. It was hard for me to
That's
look
okay.
at the,
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's
you do
okay.
have
Tiny
the large-scale
little-
plans there that you have access to. These three members are the ones who actually went out and represented our committee. for-
They're the ones that reviewed and wrote the memo,
Yes.
the original memo. I think, Matt, if you go to the planting table, the ones that are bare root are shrubs. And do you mind going to the stormwater management area? And then up on the north side, I think there's
So it
pines.
seems to me that the plans, they show the trees, I don't see any shrubs, and I'm not sure, did they say somewhere that they stopped the count at 8-inch DBH?
Yes.
I would have to look.
And isn't the EPOD say 6-inch DBH where you're supposed to have the tree inventory?
Sorry.
Yeah, the EPOD mentioned that, but then it mentioned that the 8+ were the ones that would need to be replaced. So it did seem a little bit of a dichotomy of a number.
Right.
that-
But for the replacement, I get, but for the location on the tree inventory, it said 6 for shrubs and trees.
Yeah, within and adjacent.
one thing for the woodland EPOD, it did talk about having the developers go out with members of the town and/or conservation board, and wondered if that's something we were interested in.
I think if we were to have the developer and their engineer go out with the Energy and Environmental Conservation Committee, that would need to be a request by the planning board.
Okay. I mean, I just
Sure. It's an
Mention
option,
that.
but I think that would be something we would include in that appendment. And that would be if the planning board wants the committee to, they would request that.
Okay.
And I believe I've got the right spot that you're talking about, Roy. Tree calipers shall be measured 6 inches above the ground on trees up to and including 4 inches in caliper diameter and 12 inches above the ground in larger trees. So although it does specify that they can look at and measure trees that are 4 inches and larger, as part of what needs to be on the, or be reviewed formally, is the 8 to 18 inches and 18 inches or more. If you'd like, I can give you this so you can look at it.
Yeah, there's another section that talks about 6 inches. What section are you reading? 256.1?
Sorry, I don't think I actually have it in order right now. Yeah, mine's not in order right now. Sorry.
Yeah, I think my note was that they needed to be noted on the site plan, but it didn't mention it specifically as an inventory item when I had taken the notes on the EPOD. And then just as Sarah had said, then the reforesting was the 8 through 18 and 18 above. So I think it is shrubbery and other woodland is indeed indicated on the site plan as it stands now. So I think it would
And that's
probably
for planting.
probably would fulfill that requirement of indicating where shrubbery and trees are.
Yeah, this is, what I'm reading here is application for the EPOD development permit, and then it's under 256.1, 2, which is applications, and A, applications, and then it goes under 6, which is location and types of all existing and proposed vegetation and shrubs masses, as well as all trees with a diameter of 6 inches or more within and/or adjacent to the property.
Right, so it's showing the location on the plan.
Yeah, which,
And that's, if you look at kind of how they did this within pinpointing the trees, I think that would indicate where they were.
they do, but not 6 inches.
But they're not required, it's not the inventory, it's more of.
It's the site plan.
The site plan.
So, and specifically, I understand it says site plan, the way that our our specification criteria has them put that information on the landscape plan, which is part of the set. And that's what we were just looking at. They do have any plantings, all plantings
They
are
have
included.
existing and then future planting plans.
So the existing that's being removed up to 8 inches, not 6 inches, and then future plantings that are going in.
But it doesn't, did I miss that? It says existing plantings? I thought no, in the part you were just at.
Yeah, 6, go down to 6.
So it's saying what needs to be on the site plan. So it's talking, maybe I missed that.
Can you make that any bigger, Matt?
Yeah.
That does it.
I think that would be a contradiction in that portion of the code.
So that's what I'm saying, but if you call up the current site plan, if you actually look at the visual of it, there's, what I had assumed was that although individual trees are called out of the larger size, there's enough indication of, in general.
Are you talking about this plan or the existing?
No, I'm talking about the existing tree inventory.
The tree inventory, okay.
This one that we have here.
Us, yeah,
That's
so
it.
you can just kind of see that, there's still the indication with the squiggly lines.
That's where the buffer area will
Right.
be. So
That
that
there's-
would be proposed to stay.
To stay.
And I believe the existing, I'm trying to get the name.
I guess I didn't get hung up on that because there was enough indication of tree masses there
Yeah.
that.
But that is definitely something, if you feel it's appropriate, can be included in the addendum as a concern.
Yeah. I'm just pointing it out because that's what the EPOD says.
Sure.
That's not what's
Yep.
provided.
Daniel brought up a point about, in our original, in our report, we had mentioned the buffer and the access road between the existing homes that are there, that looks like all the trees that are there will be gone.
Could you go all the way over?
It's a little, yeah, that road.
So because of the grading that needs to be done in that area, I don't, in my engineering experience, think that they can preserve more trees to put in that road. And
Right.
when they were working with the town encouraged them to bring access from that road rather than from State Road because of some other traffic concerns. So although it is of note that, no, they look like they're only preserving maybe one tree in that section, they really don't have another option if they're putting a road in,
Okay.
which is a requirement.
So are they planting more trees in the buffer then, in the site plan?
I do not believe so at this time.
I mean, it just means that there won't be a buffer to those two homes.
There would be a minimal buffer to those two homes.
And in Bruce's comment in the third one here, he does bring up that he's concerned about the headlight intrusion and
That's what we
recommends
were-
buffer evergreens. So
Right, okay.
there's that comment, at least it'll be
So we would
considered by
support
or
that.
submitted to the planning board, so.
Okay, so I don't want to necessarily bog down all of our time tonight on this discussion. What do the three of you want to take as next steps? Do you want to go look again, having this extra information, or do you feel that your previous visit was enough? And you want to work together to do a letter of recommendation?
Do you want to plan a time that we look at this large piece that we could actually see? I mean, I tried, just couldn't see it on the screen, no matter how big I made it.
Yeah, I think we just do an offline session where we look at the plans and then we
Okay.
just come up with an idea for amendment.
Okay, we can make a date after the meeting.
Okay.
And if you need a staff member to participate that and review any items on the plan or explain anything, we can obviously do that during business hours. If you need a place to meet and go over the plans, we have our conference room that you could use for that.
Yeah, I'd recommend a staff member participate.
Okay, so I mean, I'm available during the day. I don't know about Daniel and Roy.
Depends on the day, but we'll figure it out.
If you'd like, we can talk immediately after, or we can have an email thread.
Okay.
Good?
Good?
Okay.
Thank you. I do want to add, we just had an email come in immediately prior to the meeting that was requested to be shared with the planning board and EECC. Do you have that in the file, or do you want me to read it? Did you see that?
I did it.
Okay, I will read it to the
A
committee.
mystery email. This is exciting.
A resident that lives on Jamonda Way sent in an email and requested it to be shared with the planning board and EECC tonight. And it reads, I have some concerns regarding the application for 1345 Shoecraft Road, which was discussed at the last planning board meeting. The developer conducted a tree survey in identifying 646 large trees greater than 8 inches at diameter breast height. Unfortunately, this survey has not been made publicly available on the town website. Of the 646 trees, the developer somehow deemed only 82 or 12% of the trees to be healthy, in quotes. In review of the EPOD code, it does not state that a developer is, that a developer is able to disqualify trees because of broken branches, disease, or otherwise. All living trees shall be counted and included in the reforestation plan. Please note that living ash trees are not excluded from the tree count anywhere within the EPOD code. It seems that identifying which trees are dead and which will leaf out is not something that can feasibly be done during the winter months. I advocate that the survey needs to be conducted during the spring, or else the developer should plan to include all 646 trees in the reforestation plan, which in the next step outlined in the EPOD code. Also, please note that any planned street trees are included from the required reforestation tree count. The result of the survey was expected, and the impact on the environment is indeed great. Of the 14.5 acres of woodland, only 2 acres are planned to remain. The burdens placed on the developer to institute a reforestation plan for the 646 trees as outlined would be immense. However, if this seems too extreme, the remaining option for the developer is outlined within the EPOD code. The developer could revise their plan to have less impact on the environment and disturb less of the woodland. Referencing the 2023 adopted town comprehensive plan, in quotes, the EPODs provide a legal framework to protect the natural environment from poor development practices. It is recommended that the town continue to educate residents and developers on the importance of EPODs within our community, end quote. All that I ask of the board is to ensure that the EPOD code is being followed by the developer. Thank you, and the residents' information.
Okay.
We can share this with the committee, but again, it just came in, I think maybe 30 minutes before the meeting.
Okay. And the planning board knows that you plan to read it to us?
The town board knows.
Oh, the town board, okay.
That we plan to share it with this committee.
Okay, good.
It was sent to a town board member, and that town board member requested that it be shared
Okay.
as the
Good.
resident requested.
It's a very good letter.
Yeah, it was well written.
Thank you for accepting my reading.
I
So
think
it's
it would be possible, if it would be possible, that we do get copies of that after the
absolutely.
meeting would be
We will
awesome.
share that most likely tomorrow.
I wonder if they went and talked to them as they were identifying to have some of the figures and the ratings?
Some of that information was shared. So the tree inventory was not posted on the website yet because town staff was working back and forth continuously with the developer's engineer. So it did not make sense to every couple days repost that because there was not at that time a final draft. Because again, they were taking town and committee comments and doing updates based on that. So it was very much a continuous back and forth for the last 2 weeks. So I do understand that residents' concern of it not being posted, but that is why it was not posted. As for the comments, in different memos that have been posted on the town website, it has some of that information.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Next.
The
Request
next
from the
item,
town board. That was
yes.
the first of the requests from the town board. Do we have any additional requests? And yes, we do.
So we don't have any additional requests at this time from the town board. However, this committee has at our previous meeting voted to make requests and recommendations to the town board. So I would like to share an update on those requests and recommendations.
Okay.
Previously, we were asked by the town board, the 2023 town board, to make recommendations pertaining to the local tree law. And with that, staff put together a letter going to the town board, which requests that it gives some history, and then it requests that they adopt the local tree law as is at this time, and that they in the future create a town forestry plan, and if they do so, that they allow this committee to review that plan before final adoption. So that will be reviewed at the town board meeting next week as an I think an item of interest. It is not an action item at the next meeting. As an action item at the next meeting, they are getting a letter from this committee that they pursue the Mayor's Monarch Pledge again in 2024. So that would be a decision item. That's what an action item is for that meeting. And then separate from that, just an internal thing that this committee would be interested in is that the engineering department has reviewed a grant that is available called the New York Climate Resilience Grant Program. And previously, this committee recommended that the town pursue purchasing a property for open space along the bay, the Arundequoit Bay. We looked at a grant last year. We did not have enough time to get an appraisal for that property, which was required for the grant. At this time, we have that appraisal completed, and the engineering department put together a fact sheet on that grant with the recommendation that we pursue that grant for purchase of a property on Arundequoit Bay. So hopefully, the town will be comfortable funding the match portion of that, and that is on the agenda next week as an action item as well.
Can you share general vicinity on the bay?
I can tell you about the property. The property is a land bank property. It
Is a what?
land banked property. It's surrounded by land. It does not connect to a road.
Okay.
So it has the bay on one side, it has Monroe County Park on the north side, town land on the south side, and then on what would be the road side is residential and business property.
Okay.
So it also includes floodplains, it includes woodland, steep slope, and wetland epods. It would, if purchased, and the town does work to create a trail connecting the north and the northern and southern properties, it would create or complete the connection of a 2.3 mile trail along the bay, or slightly inland, but all the way from the YMCA on the north side down to LaSalle's Landing on the south side.
Okay.
So there's a
I
lot
have
of
an idea.
positives in conserving that property.
How many acres is it?
Oh, man. I, plus or minus like point something, it's 17 acres.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Yep. And the current property owner has previously come into the town to discuss what potential development is allowed. So it is by the grant reviewers, which is the Nature Conservancy, by their consideration, that would be a property that would likely be developed, so it gives more consideration where we could get the grant. The grant is for, at max, $50,000. That's what the town would be asking if approved by the town board. But they could choose to give us less than that if there's other properties they want to share that money between. And I believe the Nature Conservancy has about $2-point-something million available for grants. They normally do 12 to 15 in a year. So that information is going to the town board. It's in their drop this Friday. And this item is an action item for them next week. And that's just approving us doing an application.
Can I ask why the letter about the tree code is not an action item?
Because it has not previously been brought to this town board.
Okay.
Considering that there's 3 completely new members. Generally, for process, we bring items as an informational item if it's that big of a change. Something as simple as the town complete 3 action items for the Mayor's Monarch Pledge every year that we're already doing 2 of the 3.
Okay, I
That's not a
understand.
big deal, but something that changes the actual code of the town, like the town board could so choose to have another public hearing if they wanted.
Okay.
But thankfully, it's my understanding that new town board members have attended that public hearing before.
Okay.
But because of process, this is,
Okay, I just was
Yeah.
wondering what makes
Yeah.
the difference. So,
I
okay.
mean, truthfully, if it was me and I was just coming in as a town board member, I might
You'd wanna have
I might be
time.
hesitant to make a decision at that meeting.
Okay. I get it.
Okay. I think we need to keep moving here. So you have some updates on the clean energy community actions.
Yep. So I will cover that too. For the Clean Energy Community Actions, we, at the beginning of January, submitted our fleet inventory with the help of our DPW director. And it is my understanding that in the next week, we should be getting our approval. It already shows up on their website, but we haven't gotten the letter yet. Once we get that approval, we will have qualified for a 1-star rating in Clean Energy Communities, which gives us access to another $10,000 grant. So within 3 weeks after approval, we would submit an application for a grant. At this time, the town is looking to do tree planting again at Shadow Pines, and we are discussing potential areas in the disc golf area, as well as replacing trees that were moved on the
Shadow Pines.
Yeah, the other road.
Oh, Atlantic?
Nope.
No.
It's okay.
Wayland?
It's
Wayland,
okay.
on the Wayland side. On the curve of Wayland Road, there were a number of trees pulled out because of proximity to the road and safety, as well as grading that needed to be done. So we are looking at putting trees in slightly further away from the road to replace those that were removed. As well as in the disc golf area, it's to replace ash trees that were removed that were dead or dying. So that is that current grant. Additionally, we are working with Good Energy to get a specific document from the Public Service Commission so that we can submit it to get credit for our CCA program. Because our CCA program is 50% renewable, that allows us to get credit for it within the Clean Energy Communities program, within their new pond that came out at the end of December. And that would put us to the point that we would qualify for a 2-star rating, I think. And that would also allow us to qualify for a $50,000 grant. And there's a few different projects that we're considering at this time, and we'll end up looking to the town board for approval just because that's a larger grant. It's a little less that we can do internally to make that decision.
And it's not a matching.
Neither of these grants are matching. Yep. That was one of the reasons that that EEAC years ago wanted to pursue the Clean Energy Communities first.
Okay.
With that, this is a grant that can possibly be combined with other grants that do have matching funds, and this could help qualify towards that, which is why it's kind of a bigger item to review. If the town chooses to move forward with climate smart communities and are able to do that before October of this year, then that could also put us closer to another larger grant. So that is what I currently have for Clean Energy Community Actions.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Those are great efforts on the part of the town, so I think we appreciate them working
Absolutely.
so hard on things that make Penfield look good from an environmental and energy perspective. Okay, some old business that we do need to dive into, and we are at the 22-minute mark, just so we keep track of, or sorry about that, 17-minute mark before we get booted here. The first one is the tree and shrub program order for tree giveaway for this year. It's due March 1st. Did you have a chance to look up how much?
I did.
Okay.
So this committee has 2 budget items. We have education, where we have a budget for that, and then we have a budget for speakers, as well as plantings, as well as an Arbor Day celebration. So looking at the budgets, we could spend up to $1,000 on the tree and shrub giveaway. With that, you kind of have a few options of how many trees would the town potentially like to give away, or shrubs, and would the town like to potentially plant a couple larger sized trees, similar to what we did at our last tree giveaway. The tree giveaway that was done most recently, the town planted 5 red maples over at Rothfuss Park, and then gave away 150 bare root saplings of 2 different varieties. I believe it was red maples and white pines. And all of those trees were given away. A small portion of those trees were also planted at Rothfuss. At this time, we would not recommend the town planting more bare root trees just because the survival rate for bare root saplings is 10%. So 1 out of every 10 generally lives. And the maintenance on them is much more than the town has the capacity for at this time. So what I would like to bring to this committee is there an interest in planting maybe 2 trees or something like that? Trees are generally, like 2-inch caliper trees are about $250 to $350 each. And then the remaining funds could potentially be put towards maybe 2 trees or some number of shrubs that the town would like to choose a variety, like those varieties, and then give away.
So those 2-inch trees would be bulb stock or container stock?
Bulb stock, yeah.
And so that would
Or
take,
root and ball,
Root
sorry.
and ball, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
but that would potentially take up to $700 of the $1,000 budget?
Yes. With that, if you don't mind pulling up the order form, I can give you some reference to the cost of
Yes.
some of the
So,
trees.
and I actually did a little bit of that, so.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So you can see that there is some different options here. Typically, if you're going to do like 10 of a quantity, it's, between $16 and $30.
Okay.
And
for
I
that quantity.
generally wouldn't recommend doing more than 150 in the
Right.
giveaway because that kind of seems like the sweet spot of.
Yeah. But it
the
does
town
show
not
some
having
there,
extra
and I had
trees.
not noticed that you can do for 50. So we could get 2 or 3 types.
So is the survival rate for shrubs, it's a little bit higher in bare root, if I understand correctly?
I don't recall at this time.
So like you could do some bayberries or some,
We haven't, we didn't do shrubs at all last time, and I don't remember that, I think even the time before we didn't do shrubs, so I'm wondering if we do mostly shrubs this time? Would there be a problem with that?
So
I don't
there's
see
the
an
list
issue
of the
with that.
ones that they're offering there. Sorry about that. List of the ones: hazelnut, chokecherry, serviceberry, bayberry, and dogwood. So I'm not familiar with those. Go
think-
back up. Are we in the native section? I guess
Yeah, I
that
was
would
gonna
be the
ask
one
about-
thing to check. No, okay, so yeah, so can you go back into the shrub component of the
So I would,
catalog? I
for
probably
whatever
could
it's
get to
worth
it.
at this meeting, I would recommend that we choose if we want to move forward with trees or shrubs. And
Okay.
then maybe Matt and I can give you guys some
Recommendation.
idea of recommendations, just because this doesn't provide how big these plants get. And if we're looking at a shrub and telling people we're giving a shrub away, we probably shouldn't get like a serviceberry that's going to end up being like 12 feet tall.
Yeah, so we'll want to definitely know
Yeah.
that, and also do
But
if we want to offer native versus,
native is preferred.
yes.
So with
I think we
Max's
can say
native
versus
versus
list.
I think the native would be preferred if we're going along that
So
route.
do we want to spend our budget on just giveaway, or do you like the idea of giveaway and then allocating a component to actually plant 2 trees
at the community center.
at the community center?
Which is where it would
for-
be this year, because we would be doing it in conjunction with the EV car show.
Yeah, and the 2 trees would be helpful at that space because they did have to take down some trees at the library community center
Last
last
year.
year that were.
I like the idea of planting a couple trees, only because I know we're giving away, we really, and even the ones that we planted, I know didn't fare the bare root
The bare root ones
did not fare well
The
from
full-size
Daniel
trees
and I
did.
going, and it was to be expected. So one would think that all the ones we gave away could have met a very similar fate, so I'd
I
like
can't tell you
to.
the one in my backyard is doing great, though.
Oh, well, that's very good.
That's
You
good.
probably took care of it.
So-
That's
I
the
sure
key
did.
difference.
Yeah, so I would go for planting 2 trees.
Okay, you guys want to go for a motion? Make it happen here?
So hold on, I have a question.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
How does the math work out with the 2 trees versus the giveaway? How many can we give away?
So looking at the count briefly, I think within $1,000, we can comfortably get 150 shrubs and 2 trees.
Okay, let's do it. Motion.
Okay.
Motion.
I make a motion that we purchase 2.
Oh, he did the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what you, okay.
Yes.
I thought you meant that it
No,
had
no, I
to be.
motion. We're already in motion.
We're in motion, okay.
Do you want to second it?
I second it.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this or any questions that we have? Okay. All in favor of 2 trees and a appropriate quantity of shrubs to give away?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all ayes.
And then with that, it's a tangent to this item.
Critical for us.
It is critical, actually.
This is critical for us.
So the town was looking at dates that the tree giveaway can be and locations. And it was brought up that the eclipse is in April, which is when Earth Day and Arbor Day are, and Imagine RIT is in April. So that takes away 2 different weekends. So that narrowed it down to the weekend of the Saturday the 13th and Saturday the 20th. And the one that, working with the group for the EV car show, that it could be at best is the 20th at the community center. So staff would strongly hope that these committee members would be able to participate as much as possible at that tree giveaway.
And
but
that
is the
aligns with
date.
when the trees are available, as you
It
can see here.
does,
The trees
yes.
will be picked up on the 18th and 19th. If we do it
which
the
is why we
earlier
can't do it the
weekend,
13th.
we can't, yeah. Okay.
So that does conflict if residents specifically want to go and purchase the leftover trees from the county, but hopefully residents will come to us and get some shrubs.
Okay.
Yeah. So are
That seems
we
good.
comfortable with that date?
The 20th
Okay.
Of April.
of April. The trees, the 2 trees would not be purchased from here,
No.
though? Okay.
So those would be 2-inch caliber plus trees. And we will likely look at what came out from the community center and if possible, replace them in kind. If they were ash tree, we'll do some other deciduous tree.
And town staff would,
Yep, the
do
DPW would
that.
help take care of
And we
that.
would like to, at least if they're planted ahead of time, dedicate them or actually have them planted, that part, because
We'll
that
do-
would be in consideration of it being our Arbor Day celebration.
Yep.
We'd have a proclamation.
So we will at that event do a proclamation for Arbor Day. If the town board so chooses to move forward with the mayor's monarch pledge, we would likely include that as part of that proclamation because that is a requirement for that as well, and we can put those together.
what do you think about them planting the trees on that date?
It will absolutely depend on DPW staffing. They may
Sure.
need to do it the week before.
Okay.
They may dig a hole ahead of time. It depends what their staffing is.
Sure,
And weather and
Yeah.
lots of other factors,
So-
too.
as
So,
much as one can tell.
That'll
Yes.
likely be determined in March or very early April.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so one other thing that I think you may have heard Sarah say a couple times now is EV car show.
I've actually taken care of that.
Okay,
Sorry.
so give us an update then.
The EV car show will be happening at the community center at the same time.
Okay. As of yesterday, there was a concern that it would be on
Sorry.
our committee to make sure that it happens. So this is
Oh.
a momentous change in.
Okay.
Sorry.
So thank you very much for making sure that that's going to happen. And they're fine with that date?
Yes.
Okay.
That was confirmed today.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that. That's breaking news. I just wanted to see if there was anything else that was listed on old business that we need to make sure there is.
The town
There is.
flower.
I just wanted to briefly give an update. This committee brought up wanting to do a town flower and the recommendation of having some residents involved in choosing that. From speaking with town staff and previous town board members, there was an interest in pursuing that idea, and they would like to pursue it over the summer so that there's more opportunity
Okay.
for residents to participate.
That's fine.
and
Time
then
is
I-
going pretty short right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there really was not enough time to do that prior to potentially having to order trees or shrubs. And that was a big concern. But also the opportunity for residents to participate was a huge positive idea. And
Great.
they thought over the summer would be a good opportunity for that.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Are we going, any recommendations? I know,
Doug is pulling together a previous list for us.
okay, I know that Doug got the list out, but some of them were really hard to, some of them that are native are not maybe well-known or easily obtainable.
I would expect if we're doing a public participation thing, we would include some pictures.
Okay.
I
And
think
some
we would
information.
also make sure that it was something, that we can narrow the list
We
down
can-
enough
yes.
to
But
make
We
it.
Yes.
have time.
Yes.
Because
We'll
we're
have
looking at
time.
doing it this
Yes.
summer.
Yes, that's what I wanted to
So
do,
it doesn't-
narrow the list
Yeah.
down and, okay.
Which works well because we only have about 5 minutes left of our meeting.
Okay.
Sorry, we have a dead stop.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay, committee membership update. I think we don't have,
Oh, go ahead.
it's still open, right? It's
Yes,
still.
so formally, the town board opened or the town supervisor opened applications for the open roles for this committee as well as the Historic Preservation Committee, or board, I think it's a board. And that was posted on our website recently, and I believe social media, and the due date for those applications is the 19th? It's January 19th.
Okay.
And that is a resume and a letter of interest, with the letter of interest acknowledging what causes the residents to qualify.
Okay.
So kind of like a cover letter. And that can be submitted to the supervisor's office or supervisor@penfield.org.
Very good.
So that is open right now. So anyone that knows anyone that's interested or anyone that specifically wants to apply, please do so.
Yes, so if you're listening to us on Penfield TV, come join our group and help us do great things. Okay, any other old business that we did not capture? Okay, then new business is going to be fairly easy, at least the first part, is we've captured a list of upcoming events, a lot of which are also included in the winter-spring issue of the Penfield Recreation brochure, so I think that's like one of those handy things to have. But seed and houseplant swap on January 27th, which also helps us fulfill one of the requirements for the
Mayor's Monarch Pledge.
Mayor's Monarch Pledge. There is a winter snow night out, full moon hike, February 23rd. That also helps with supporting that particular organization. Conservation tree and shrub program orders are due March 1st. That's the Monroe County. Anybody can order trees, order shrubs. So it's like one of those things to know that that's something Monroe County does offer. Color Your Life Green is a program that's happening, sponsored by Color Penfield Green. And there's an Earth Day program also by Color Penfield Green on April 22nd.
And I can give a little more information about that program and then 2 more classes that were mentioned to me this week.
Okay.
The Earth Day celebration program on April 22nd is actually a little performance put on by 1st to 6th graders with an environmental message. So if you're interested in that, please attend. And then the 2 items that are not currently on there are Enhance Your Existing Landscape and Gardens with Native Plants, being put on by Color Penfield Green, is February 15th from 6 to 7:30. That is a free event, as well as Rethinking the American Lawn, which is March 28th from 6 to 7:30, and that is also a free event.
Are these at the library?
It's part of PenRec.
Oh.
I'm not
Community
entirely
center,
sure
yes,
the
I
difference.
think they were at the
But they're
community
in the
center,
they're in
yes.
the catalog.
Yes, I think when we had talked, you had made me feel like they were both full, so I think that's
So
why.
I just spoke with the person doing it this week
Okay.
because I had a different meeting with her, and she mentioned that they are not full.
Okay.
Which is why it's a new item.
Okay, thank you, good. Any other new business that we want to pursue? We had a very full meeting, so I think we have lots of follow-up items that'll definitely make it for our next meeting, and some things that you 3 are going to do in between times, which I definitely appreciate happening, so.
Yeah.
Okay, our next meeting is February 8th, and at this point in time, I'd like to take a motion for adjournment.
motion.
I just,
I'll second.
you'll second this time. Okay. I think we're all in favor of adjourning. Thank you very much. This concludes the January 11th meeting of the Energy and Environmental Conservation Committee. Have a good night.